Hello, good evening, and welcome back to TTTV for round 6 of season 11 of TTL F1. It is the Monaco Grand Prix final race before the Christmas break. My name is Andy. Kieran's not here tonight, but I do have a guest commentator alongside me, helping me out around the streets of Monte Carlo, and it is someone we know very well. It is actually Spike. Spike, how are you doing this evening?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not too bad. Looking forward to this. Not got as many drivers as we usually would do, just with it coming up towards Christmas. But around Monaco, you can probably put about 3 people in there and still end up not being able to swing a cat around it. So, still bound to be an exciting race for sure. And obviously, the weather could throw up any curveballs into the mix. Out of the drivers we've got, you got any early predictions of who we should be looking out for this evening? You know these drivers obviously very well, having raced alongside them.
Yes. All the usual suspects will be up there. This is probably the biggest gap between the pad and the wheel. This particular track, Monaco, just because there's no chance for the tyres to cool down between each corner. Is obviously one after the other. So, but Blizzards will still be up there, I reckon. We'll see Lambo, Squeezy. Those sort of three, I reckon, will be around the podium sort of areas.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously tyre choice around Monaco is the Super Softs, the Ultra Softs and the Pink Hyper Softs. First time we'll see them during this season, so that'll definitely be one to keep an eye on. And as is normal during these races, Squeezy, the first one out off pit lane, he's always out there very promptly on the track in the McLaren, so once he gets round to the start and finish line, we will jump on board and we'll go round a hot lap. Last time out on Tuesday night, it was Blizzard who took the race victory to extend his championship lead to 81 points, with Poe in second on 66. Squeezy was now in third place on 57, Clifford on fourth on 36, Lambo fifth on 28, tied with Siege. Seventh is Josh on 25, tied with Jay. The Gore is in ninth on 22, and yourself, Spike, you round out the top 10 on 20 points. And in the Constructors' Championship, Force India, helped by Blizzard's 2 victories at Bahrain and last time at Spain, topped the standings on 122 points. Haas in second on 88, McLaren third on 77, Williams on 53 points in fourth, Toro Rosso 32 in fifth, Ferrari 6 and 31, Red Bull in 7th and 30, Sauber 8th and 28, Renault 9th and 27, and Mercedes at the back on 17. But here we go on board with Squeezy for a lap of the Principality, coming up towards turn 1, Saint Devot. Very easy to get your braking wrong into there. Opened up as over the recent years, obviously. Used to be a lot tighter there. And then up into Massenet, down to 5th gear, still around 100 miles an hour. And then through Casino Square, down to 4th gear, up and over the rise and the bump, and then down into the Mirabeau corner, and then the tightest corner on the Grand Prix calendar, the Grand Hotel Hairpin, down to as low as 30 miles an hour, sometimes just under. Under the tunnel, under the bridge, into the Portier, and then into the tunnel. And this is where you can now get back up to as quick as you can do around here. Heading downhill, tricky downhill braking zone into the Novelle chicane, down to second gear, clipping as much of the curb as you can, and then up to a brilliant section of track here. 5th gear, 120 miles an hour through to back, and then through the swimming pool section, Squeezy bouncing it off the Armco wall as he goes, and then up to the Rascasse. No time to stop for a cup of coffee on the cafe on the inside. And then the final corner is Anthony Noggs, DRS, only one place right here across the start finish line. And across the line goes Squeezy, a 1 minute 8.9 on his first lap on the Hypersofts, beaten straight away by Blizzard by only 2/100ths of a second. So Blizzard on top and Squeezy in second. Josh has just put it into third. And a yellow flag somewhere in sector 2, possibly cars deciding to back out to give some space.
No, that's TTG Ollie's just hit the barrier coming out of Mirabeau. He just touched the wall on the exit, so he has no front wing. He's now just coming down to Novelle chicane, so he's going to pit and put a new front wing on that, obviously, and start again. 2 good laps there from Blizzard and Squeezy, 200ths between the two of them, already into the 1 minute 8s. So yeah, that's going to be tight qualifying between those two, I think.
Definitely so, definitely We know obviously off the pace of these guys, Blizzard and Squeezy, and even obviously Poe's been very quick, but he's not here tonight, unfortunately, so it's going to allow Blizzard the chance to increase his championship lead a little bit more, as well as Ollie finally gets back to pit lane with that broken front wing. Here goes Letinho Lighty up the hill towards Massenet in the other McLaren. He's now on his flying lap. He's on the ultra soft tyres, and this is going to be the interesting bit as well tonight, Spike, because we've only got the 11 drivers, as Josh puts it in provisional pole with a 1 minute 8.8. Top 10 obviously start on the tyres they qualify on, and there's obviously, it's a lot easier to put super softs or ultra softs on, because there's only one person that's not going to make it through to the top 10, so it's definitely a chance for drivers to try the alternate strategy.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of drivers trying the different tyres. Obviously, Blizzard and Squeezy have already set their fastest laps along with Josh on the Hypersoft, so we'll have to see whether they decide to go for an ultra soft after that. Obviously the track rubbers in over the session, which gets quicker as we go along, so we'll have to see what happens, but I imagine most people that will be on a pad, for example TTG, he's on a pad, so I would expect him, as he is at the moment, out on the super soft tyres, because they are obviously the least fragile tyres, obviously the hardest tyres, so to be fair, oh, and he has literally just hit the wall, and he's just broken his front wing, so he'll be back into the pits for another new front wing on that one.
And unfortunately for him, we caught that on the stream. I jumped to him just before he lost it coming through Casino Square. So back to the pits for the Ferrari for another front wing, and that's two front wings already damaged in this session. One for the Ferrari AJ and the other one for TTG Ollie in the Red Bull. Litinho came across and completed his flying lap, but it was obviously invalidated somewhere. It was only a 1 minute 11 as well, so it would only been good enough at the moment for 5th place, as Jay's actually retired from the session, so he's obviously tried to push too hard on his way back to pit lane. We're on board with Litinho just to see if we can find the Ferrari. There he is on the exit of Tabac, minus his front right wheel there, so that means everyone now left in the session could go for the super soft tyres, as Litinho heads for pit lane, having damaged his front wing. So we're already 3 front wings down. We're on board with Alan Kay, your teammate in the Sauber. He's coming up to Raskas now, currently in P7 on the super soft tyres, and he's coming through. Anthony Noggs now, can he improve on his current lap time? DRS open, and the battery system turned up to full whack. He moves up a place into P6 as we see the Toro Rosso of Lambo keeping well out of the way there as he comes out of pit lane. So Alan Kay up in the 6th place on the Super Sauce, and it's currently Josh in pole, Blizzard 2nd, Squeezy 3rd, Gordon 4th, Lambo 5th, Alan Kay that we're watching in 6th, Steph 7th, Mason 8th, Ollie in 9th, Litinho in 10th, and Jay will be starting last, having already dropped out of the session, and he's already in the chat saying, I'm actually happy to be starting at the back, to be honest. So although maybe not intentional, he's not too fussed about it, it would seem.
Yeah, obviously only with 11 drivers, it's obviously going to be a lot easier to get up the field, even despite the fact obviously Monaco's very hard to overtake on, but at least in the virtual world it's not impossible, so hopefully he'll be able to make his way up the field and get somewhere towards the podium, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. So we're just watching Steph coming through on his current lap at the moment. He clouted the wall coming out of Tabac. I don't think he damaged his wing, but pulled into pit lane and decided to abort that lap. Squeezy drifting his way through Raskas. He's in the hyper soft tyres, so some of these drivers are still sticking with the grippiest compound out, and Squeezy in the provisional pole position, a 1 minute 8.621. That puts him 2 times clear of Josh and 3 times clear of Blizzard. That's a pretty decent lap time from Squeezy, got to say, although I do expect it to come down a little bit more before the end of the session. We've got just under 10 minutes left. This is TTL F1, round 6 from Monaco. This is also brought to you by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions. Make sure to check them out if you're having any issues with your Wi-Fi connection. And also brought to you by A Logo UK as well for all your graphical needs, as Blizzard goes a 1 minute 8.2. So as Squeezy gets it into provisional pole, Blizzard in the Force India retaliates back and is now nearly 4 times clear at the top of the standings.
That's a very good lap from Blizzard there. into the low 1 minute 8s. Obviously, these drivers have decided to stay with the Hypersoft. I guess they figure that they'll just do a very short stint on these and get straight onto the Supers, and then go from there, whether they'll be able to do a one-stop. Because I believe it's not so much about the wear of these tyres, it's about the temperature. And as long as you can keep them within the temperature, about below 103 degrees with the Super Softs, then you're all set to have a good race. But if it peaks over the top of that, then you're going to lose 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap at least. So obviously for Blizzard, hopefully he thinks he's going to go for a nice short stint to start with, and then jump straight onto the Supers and go from there.
Definitely looks like it. We're watching last season's champion Lambo coming through to complete another lap, and he does not improve, I don't think, on that time. He's still in 5th place at the moment. He was drifting his way through the Portier corner before the tunnel. It's not been the greatest starts to the season for Lambo. He had a couple of DNFs in the first 3 races, I think it was. He finds himself right down the championship standings and could really do with another decent result here tonight at Monaco, as he decides to drift his way through Mirabeau, probably because he knows we're watching now. Now he's just showing off. Drifting his way right the way through the Grand Hotel Hairpin. He definitely knows we're watching there, as he is sliding that Toro Rosso everywhere on his way back to pit lane. So he's having a bit of fun going through the tunnel as Lambo, but he definitely needs to get some good points on the board here if he's going to have any chance of defending his championship crown here in this season of TTL F1. After tonight, obviously, we go on a Christmas break, and I don't think we're back until... I don't know when we're back, actually. I don't know if it's New Year's Day or the Thursday after New Year's. Hopefully you know, Alan, because I've struggled to keep up to date with anything. Sorry, Spike.
That's okay. I was going to say, I'll take the name, Alan, that's fine. Lambo did actually improve on that lap. He improved by nearly 2 seconds, actually, to a 110.1, just below Litinho, who's also on a 110.1, but obviously the difference between those is obviously Lambo set his lap on the Supers, and Litinho set his fastest lap on the Hypersoft. Obviously you said Lambo's had a tough start to the season. I think he's been eating the same food as me, I think, because I've also had a rather shocking start to this season. But he's definitely got the pace to sort that out, and he's shown signs in the last couple of races of being back to something like his best. So I think there's plenty of time left in this season for him to get himself back into that championship fight, along with Squeezy and Blizzard.
Definitely a possibility to do so, but obviously the quicker he can do it, it'll make it a little bit easier as the season goes on. I know he's been doing pretty decently. I think he won a championship in another league recently as well, so he's still got the speed, just obviously not having the luck like yourself in the early races. And I think the reason I called you Alan is because obviously Alan Kay joined me in the commentary box a couple of times towards the end of last season, and I just obviously went into autopilot mode, so I do apologise, Spike, I didn't really mean that. Steph is going through the Grand Hotel Hairpin at the moment. He's done 4 laps on those super soft tyres, so that's quite a strange decision there from the TTFL commentator to be going through there. There's obviously, as is usual, there's always been a bit of fun in the chat that goes on, because Steph does have the record for pit stops around here, 9 stops a few seasons back, and people never forget to rib him about it. I know Kieran loves to throw it in from time to time as he clatters the wall on the way out the swimming pool section. So he's already said he's going to try and aim for just 1 stop here tonight, but I'm quite surprised that he's gone on and done as many laps as he has on those super soft tyres, as he improves up to 8th place, putting Alan Kay down to 9th. You think any reason why he'd be doing that, Spike, at this point?
Well, it's either that he's gone for the balanced selection of tyres, which means you only get 1 set of the... it's harder setting. Sorry, of course, yeah. With the balanced, you wouldn't be able to use the hardest set, so you do only get 1 for qualifying anyway. So if he is set on starting on supers, then obviously he damaged his front wing on his first run. So I'd imagine that he's come back out to do another representative lap, and it just means obviously he's accumulated a few laps on the tyres, but they will still go obviously a lot further than the ultras or the hypers. I think from there he'd still be able to do a super to ultra strategy, no problem at all. And he did say to me tonight, "Don't mention it," so I haven't mentioned it. It was you that mentioned it, so
I'm just filling in for Kieran. I'm just filling in for Kieran because I know he would have done it. So I'm just doing his job since I'm in the lead here tonight with this range. So there we go. Blizzard though has improved his lap time. First driver into the 1:07, a 1:07.987 in the Force India, and the most decorated driver in TTL F1 history is starting to stamp his authority. The only driver to win 2 races so far, with Bahrain and last time out on Tuesday in Spain at the Circuit de Catalunya, and he'll be looking to increase his lead. Obviously Poe is second in the championship, but not here this evening before we finish up for the Christmas break, so he's got a really good chance of increasing his lead and putting a really good marker down for the rest of the season. We obviously know how quick he is. He's proven it here. Half a second clear of Josh, who's in second place at the moment. Squeezy, who's just coming out off pit lane to try another lap before the end of the session. He's in third at the moment. TTG Ollie in the pit lane at the moment is in fourth. The Gort in the Haas is in fifth. Ligdinho in sixth. Lambo down to seventh for the movers in the standings. Steph in eighth. Alan Kay in ninth. Mays is out of the session. Don't know what happened to him. And obviously Jay had a crash through to back. He'll be starting at the back of the field. Here comes the Gort through Anthony Nogues onto the DRS in the Haas. And what can he do? Can he improve on his fifth place time? He does not. That maybe was his out lap, I think. So you see Lambo coming out of pit lane in the background. 3 minutes to go here at Monaco. It's TTL F1 on TTTV. This is round 6 from the Principality. The last race for TTL F1 before the Christmas and New Year break. So an interesting race for sure, we're expecting, despite the fact it is just the 11 drivers. With this place here, I think it was Nelson Piquet said it best, it's like trying to cycle a bicycle around your living room that is that tight and that easy to crash into things. So even with these drivers here, it's still going to be an interesting race for sure. Yellow flags was out there in sector 3. There is Alan Kay just going off at the chicane as he allows, I think that was the Gort to go through. It was indeed, as he comes through to back and into the swimming pool section. I love this section of track. Used to be much tighter. There's obviously that part, the Rascasse, Saint Devot, they used to be a lot tighter in days gone by, and obviously they've reclaimed some of the land to make it a bit easier now, obviously for safety reasons. As the Gort crosses the line and he improves on his time, but he still stays in 5th position. He's now 1.3 seconds down rather than 1.9 seconds down. Minute and a half to go here in qualifying, and Blizzard is still half a second clear.
Yes, good lap there from the Gort. It's always nice when you can shave a decent chunk off your time. And also I was watching Alan Kay just before we caught him on the stream. He improved to a 1:11.5 on the ultra soft tyres. Lambo is also now out there on the ultra soft tyres. He's got Tina in the way, who does move out of the way. That's nice. Up the hill into Casino. There's a lot of understeer in the car there. A bit more through the next corner. So he's obviously going, I would imagine, ultras to supers in the race, which is a nice one stop. That's probably the ultimate strategy, because you want to be on the hardest tyre towards the end of the race, because that's the one that gives you the most consistent lap times. Not necessarily the quickest, but it'll give you decent lap times all the way to the end of its life, whereas the softer compounds in this game tend to give you a shorter amount of time, maybe 6 or 7 good laps, then after that they start to drop off a cliff. So down into the next chicane, Novell chicane. Yeah, nice through there. Car's hooked up quite nicely now, down into the back. Yep, nice through there, a little bit oversteer on the exit. Blue swimming pool section. Yeah, the car's nice balanced, touches the wall a bit there. Rascasse, yeah, a little bit understeer again. To the final corner. Ooh, just touches the wall on the inside and across the line. What time is it? Let's have a look. Cruise up, so he gets into the 1:09, it's 1:09.9, so that puts him up a place into 6th. Decent lap there from Lambo.
Yeah, decent lap indeed. Just caught the end of that there as he clipped the inside of the barrier through Anthony Nogues. So obviously you need to be careful about doing that, because you could easily lose a front wheel. Here comes TTG Ollie in the Red Bull, clipping the Armco with his right rear, coming through the end of the swimming pool section, looking really good through Rascasse, just threw it in there, and the car sliding its way through Anthony Nogues as he gets on the power and the DRS. He doesn't improve as the checkered flag comes out to finish the session, so he stays in 4th. Here comes Squeezy, And he goes
pole position.
Cole. Lovely lap there from the McLaren. 1 minute 7.970. Blizzard is at the Grand Hotel Hairpin. Josh goes across the line. He stays in 3rd place. We're going to follow here. Lambo is going to be the next one to cross the line. He's on those ultra softs, as you mentioned there. Spike clipping the Armco coming out off the swimming pool section. That might have cost him a 10 for 2 through the final corner. DRS opened. Can he improve on this lap time? 1 minute 9.9. He does go faster, but he stays in 6th. And Litinio, the next one to cross the line, and he stays in 7th place. So it's just Blizzard now coming through Raskas into Anthony Noakes. Yep, can he improve? He's not got much to gain if he can do it. And the game obviously jumps away.
Says P2.
He is.
P2.
Indeed, so Squeezy takes pole position by the slimmest of margins. It was under 2/100ths of a second between Squeezy on pole and Blizzard in second. So Blizzard unable to gain back that pole position there from Squeezy. There is your standings. 1 minute 7.970. 16/1000ths of a second between the top two, so really close. Couldn't separate them with a Rizzler paper if you even tried that one. Josh in 3rd, half a second down in the Renault. Ollie in 4th in the Red Bull, just shy of a second down. Those are the only guys that are under 1 minute 9. The Gort is in 5th, 1 minute 9.3. Lambo 6th, 1 minute 9.3 as well, and his last lap on Ultrasauce. Litinio in 7th, 1 minute 10 on the Hypers. Alan K, Ultrasauce 1 minute 11.5, and Steph on the Super Softs a 1 minute 12, and then it will be Maze and Jay who round out the field of 11 we have here tonight. So Squeezy beats Blizzard to pole. They had a good battle last time out at Catalonia, to what I was seeing in between my own stuff that I was doing on Tuesday. Time for round 2, do you think, Spike?
Yeah, absolutely. A great lap there from Squeezy right at the end of the session to just pip Blizzard to pole position there. That will certainly anger Blizzard a little bit that he missed out on pole there. Obviously he made a small mistake into the final corner from what I saw, so that probably cost him a little bit of time there, but without seeing the rest of the lap, not sure whether he was up or down in his delta at that point, but yeah, it should be a good battle between the two. And obviously then you've got Lambo, who's on the alternate strategy on the ultra soft tyres, so he's the first of those, so we'll see how he gets on in the first stint.
Definitely so, and I'm expecting to see Jay obviously being outside the top 10. I would be surprised if he goes with anything other than Super Sauce, but then again, as you were saying, you want to be on the hardest compound at the end of the race. That seems to be the preferred choice. So let's see what we have, and yep, Jay has done exactly that. He's on the Ultra Softs. Everyone else obviously starting on the tyres they qualified on. Maze is on Super Softs, as is Steph. Ultras for Alan K, Lambo and Jay, and everybody else is on the Hypersofts, so they're not going to last too long. I would imagine somewhere around about lap 10, would you say, Spike, for those?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the temperatures, so for people that can keep the tyres within the working range, yeah, you probably get 10 to 12 laps perhaps out of the the Hypers, but if they overheat, you're looking at 3 to 4 laps. And at that point, you're better off pitting because it's very hard to get them to come back within the working range once they've gone past. It's a little bit easier for some than others, but yeah, it's all about the tyre temperatures.
Definitely so, and that's obviously going to make a big difference. So these guys in the Hypers up the front, they definitely want to try and sprint away as much as they can, but obviously they don't want to be trying too hard because, as we've said a few times, it's very easy to get it a wrong around here and put yourself into the wall and just completely end your race. We have 11 drivers. Hopefully we don't have too many retirements, or me and you could be trying to fill in a lot of dead time towards the end of the race maybe, so I hope that doesn't happen. But this is TTL F1 on TTTV. It is round 6 from Monte Carlo, the last round before the Christmas New Year break, and Squeezy brings them to the line. TTL F1 is brought to you by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions and A-Logo UK. Weak Wi-Fi Solutions, place to go if you're having any issues with your broadband connection, and if you're looking for any graphics done, A-Logo UK is the place you want to go there. You can find them on Twitter if you just search for those handles, and if you're following us on TTG Gaming or TTL F1, you'll see their tag come up quite often. But here we go then for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. This is going to be an interesting start into Sandoval. Hopefully we can keep it clean with no loss of front wings. We're underway. It looks like a decent start there from Josh. Lambo's got a decent one as well, but nowhere to go as Blizzard goes round the outside and into the lead. He's just jumped Squeezy at the start there, round the outside into Sandoval, and Squeezy loses the lead already as he come through Massenet for the first time and through Casino Square. It's Blizzard, Squeezy, Josh, Ollie, the Gort, Lambo, Litinho in 7th, Stefan 8th, Jay 9, Valen K in 10th, and Maze down to 11th. So Jay's jumped up 2 places already on the first lap as we come through the Grand Hotel Hairpin for the first time. Everybody keeping it clean there and avoiding any damage to the front wings as we go through the tunnel and down towards the chicane for the first time. But it is Blizzard who leads, Squeezy in second, Josh is in third place as we watch the Renault here down to the chicane. Now just keep an eye behind if anything is going on in the background, but it seems to be pretty much single file at the moment. Although it looks like Steph is getting a little bit involved as Jay tries to get by him, but he's unable to do so through the chicane as he comes through to back in the swimming pool section. And these two are already dropping off. Latino and Steph has already run wide there through the swimming pool section there, so he's going to get a warning for corner cutting, and Jay is all over the back of that Mercedes as he comes through. And Jay spun! He's spun it out to Anthony Noggs, completely 180 the wrong direction, and he's going to have to try and do the equivalent of a 3-point turn, which round here is not an easy thing to do. But back up front, Blizzard leads from Squeezy, Josh in 3rd, Ollie in 4th and Gort in 5th. A pretty simple starting lap there apart from that bit at the end there, Spike.
Yeah, just looked like Blizzard got a better launch off the line, just a bit more traction from the rear tyres and just out-dragged Squeezy to turn 1, and fair play to Squeezy, he gave the space. He probably was entitled to squeeze a bit more, but obviously around Monaco that's going to cause a rather large crash. So, and now Squeezy looks like he's a little bit under pressure from Josh, just within 4/10 of him coming down to the Novel chicane. Yep, cutting the corner a little bit there. Don't even do that too many times, was he getting penalties? But yeah, Blizzard's pulling away. 1.3 seconds is the gap already. And obviously Jay spinning it at the last corner, so he's now on his own at the back. But at least that gives him some clean air, so he can get some decent laps in.
Definitely, so we'll keep an eye on his progress later on in the race. But Blizzard is trying to check out up front. As you say, it's now 1.5 seconds as Squeezy's having to defend from the Renault of Josh behind him. So he's not able to concentrate as much as he would like with that yellow and black machine filling the mirrors. DRS enabled down the front straight on the next lap. And Ollie is trying to keep onto the back of these two as well. Further back we've got Lambo, who is trying to have a go at the Gort. And he jumped back to Josh actually and Squeezy there because I just jumped away at the wrong point, but Josh looked like he was going to have a go up the inside into Mirabeau, and you need to make sure you're definitely getting the moves done round here because there's no room for error, and if you try a half-hearted attempt you're going to lose a front wing or possibly even a wheel to go with it as well. So Blizzard now up to 2 seconds clear of this battle for second place between Squeezy, Josh, Ollie trying to keep onto the back of him as well. The Gort, the first one to pick up a time penalty already. 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings, so he's managed to do that within 3 laps already, and that's going to be a big bit at the end of this race. Who can keep it clean and who can avoid penalties as Squeezy runs very deep into Raskas there and manages to avoid losing the place to Josh, but now DRS down towards Saint-Devote. It's not the longest DRS zone in the world and he's unable to do anything at the moment. Josh now also 3-second penalty, cutting the curb in there through Saint-Devote, and he's actually got the move done. Why did I move away at the wrong time? I always got bad timing in these things. Josh getting the move done though up the hill towards Massenet, and that Renault is finally through into second place, and Ollie now in the Red Bull will be fancying a crack at the back of that McLaren before long, and Squeezy really needs to get a move on. Maybe those tyres are starting to peak in temperature and means that he's losing time like you mentioned earlier, Spike.
Absolutely, it does look like he's struggling with the tyres a little bit. That was following the Josh Squeezy up the hill, and it looked like there would be a little bit of contact between the two. So I'm hoping that that didn't cause Squeezy to run off towards the wall. But it was very tight between the two going up the hill. But obviously, I think Squeezy is the one struggling the most currently with the tyres. Obviously, Ollie now has closed the gap, and so has the Gort and Lambo too. So obviously, Lambo, first of the runners on the harder set of tyres, the ultra softs there, so he can run longer. So for him, really, he needs to try and get himself past the Gort as soon as possible, really, and perhaps even as far up as Squeezy. In fact, Squeezy now pits along with Ollie. So obviously, like I said, 4 or 5 laps in, obviously these tyres have decided that's enough, and they've overheated, I would guess. Be interesting to see what tyres they go onto. So Ollie's gone onto a set of super softs. I would imagine Squeezy would do the same. Just wait for the game to show me.
Yeah, he has.
He has to wait for Ollie's. Ollie's actually jumped him in the pit lane there, so that's good for him. Oh no, sorry, it's now gone back to that. Thanks, game. Making me look stupid. So yes, Squeezy is out on the super soft tyre as well, along with then where they're going to feed into. So let's see, just ahead of Maze, so that's not too bad for them. So once you get past Alan Kay, there's a bit of a gap up to Steph. So get past him, and then a nice bit of space there for it.
Definitely.
Sorry, Steph at 19 there. Sorry, my bad.
No, that's totally fine. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on their progress now that they've made their one mandatory stop. We're looking out the back of the Haas of the Gort with Lambo catching up behind the Squeezy, the latest one to get a time penalty. Picked up 5 seconds as well in pit lane for speeding on the entry, so he's now got around about 8 seconds, which will be added to his time at the end of the race, so that's not going to be very helpful for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, we got side-by-side action between Squeezy and Alan through the tunnel. That's always, especially through the fast right-hander there, is quite. But he made the move, made it stick, so he's up at. Oh, Alan McKay hits the wall there. He probably lost a little bit of front wing there as well, so he needs to just settle himself back down and get back into a rhythm, because it's all about rhythm around Monaco.
Definitely. So Squeezy all over the back of the Mercedes of Steph, and this is where it gets tricky around this place. You can have a car in front which you're maybe quicker than. You want to make that move, you need to do it well, and you can see even up to Sandoval. Oh, he's got a better run out of there though. Up the hill though, Steph is just going to take to the middle of the track as he's entitled to do, and just holds off for now as he comes through Massenet and up to Casino Square. And this now means we've got 6-7 as Alan catches the wall again. Ollie's still unable to get through. This has allowed Maze and Jay to sit in the back of him. Squeezy looks to the outside in Mirabeau. That's not usually an overtaking spot. And Ollie looks to the inside of Alan up into the Grand Hotel hairpin, using the curbing a little bit to help him turn around. But he's got the move done, and that is a move for position. Gets Ollie back onto the tail. Squeezy, who's now side by side with Steph through the tunnel. The game's giving me an absolutely terrible camera. And we come back out and Squeezy's got the move done, so a better run out of the Portier corner through the tunnel, and Squeezy now side by side and he gets through.
Steph nearly dropped it out of the Nobel chicane there. You can clearly see, especially if you're on board, that he is really, really struggling at the moment. I think he's definitely overheated these tyres. You can just tell he's got absolutely zero grip. He may have even damaged his front wing. I can't quite tell from this angle, but you can see it's literally, he's turning the wheel, but the car is just not turning in for him. So he's really, really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, can't see any damage on the screen, but it doesn't mean there isn't any damage, and that car seems to be handling like a Asda shopping trolley at the moment. Up ahead, Josh has came into the pits from what was second place, and he's now actually out ahead of Squeezy and Ollie. So the Squeezy and Ollie getting stuck up behind Steph for a lap and a bit has meant that Josh has jumped the pair of them. As Alan Kay goes up the inside of Steph into Mirabeau, going side by side, it's going to narrow up here at the Grand Hotel. That's a lovely move there from Alan Kay in the Sauber. No touching at all. Oh, and Jay stuffed it at the Grand Hotel hairpin, just took far too much curb. Maze bumped into the back here, might have wing damage as well. That's another incident for the Ferrari driver after spinning on lap 1, and he's definitely got front wing damage on that left hand side, so it's not a great race for the Ferrari driver, but that was a brilliant move by Alan Kay up the inside into Mirabeau, got the traction on and was through before the Grand Hotel hairpin. So that is him now up into 8th place as Jay gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cut, and he must have just jumped right across the chicane as the Gort comes into pit lane along with Litinho. So we now have everybody is pitted except for those that start. Everyone on the Hypers has now been into pit lane, and Jay is now out of the race as well.
Yeah, Blizzard has pitted, has come out in P2 ahead of Josh, 4.2. So obviously Blizzard's done a very good job there to keep the tyres within the temperature long enough to do a decent stint on those ultras, which now means he should be able to get to the end quite happily on those supers. He's got a decent gap back to Josh. So obviously Josh and Blizzard being able to keep those tyres alive for longer has obviously helped them out, because now they're not into any traffic. Then comes Squeezy, another 4.5 seconds back. And then the Gort, who's also done a decent stint because he's now between Squeezy and Ollie, so that's good of him. And then Alan Kay up to P7, like you say, he's 8 seconds behind Ollie, but he is yet to pit.
Definitely so, and the Gort, as you mentioned there, because of Ollie and Squeezy getting stuck behind Steph for about a lap and a half, he's now separating the two of them on track, so that's gained him a position in real time to where he was earlier on, as Maze and Steph are swapping positions coming out of the chicane. Steph now down to 10th place. Now the thing is, obviously with Jay having now retired, everybody that gets to the end of the race is going to score some points, so it's a good chance for those that are normally gaining points maybe around 8th, 9th or 10th to maybe gain some bigger points here today, with only 10 drivers left in the race. And Ollie will be hoping to gain some more points as well. He's in 6th place at the moment behind the Gort. He's got the rear wing of that Haas in front of him, and just ahead you can see that papaya orange McLaren starting to disappear, and he'll really want to try and stick as close as possible to Squeezy through the rest of this race. But the Gort, this is a race for position. They've both pitted, so the Gort is more than entitled to take that race in line and keep that Red Bull behind him as long as possible. So Ollie needs to be patient here, as well as trying to find the opportunistic move to get past and try and catch back up to Squeezy. But we're on lap 9 of 39, so there's still a long way to go in this race. We've still got to see pit stops from the likes of Lambo, Alan Kay and Maze, as Steph has been into pit lane as well. So they're the only 3 drivers that have not stopped, as Blizzard sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 11.257 on those super soft tyres, and that is the fastest lap by a good 6/10ths of a second. Josh, next one up, a 1 minute 11.9. Everybody else at the moment is in the 1 minute 12s or higher. Lap 10 now, and it is Lambo leading at the moment, but he's still to pit with Blizzard in second.
Yes, Blizzard just took over nearly 2.5 seconds out of Lambo on that last lap. So obviously with those fresh supers on, you just need to be a little bit careful that you don't push them too hard. But Blizzard's pretty good at time management, to be fair to him. He's shown in the past where he's not accelerated away from the field at the start. So he's pretty good at bringing the tyres in slowly so they don't just completely peak straight away. But 2.5 seconds is obviously within a couple of laps, it's going to be on the back of Lambo. So Lambo's probably getting pretty close to his pit stop now. There's only going to be a couple more laps, I reckon, before he pits.
Definitely so. Jay out of the race, and he's jumped into the chat saying no point racing when you have to drive behind a train of snails. And I don't know if that's quite the words I would use, but obviously passing at Monaco is a hard thing to do. It can be very, very frustrating, but with so little drivers, for me, I think he could have maybe carried on, but everybody's got their preferences. He maybe just felt that things weren't going his way. Unfortunately, had to spin on lap 1, lost the front wing through the Grand Hotel hairpin, but he's out of the race. So as I say, everybody that finishes does have the ability to pick up points. The closest battles on track at the moment are between the Gort and Ollie over 5th and 6th, and this battle here between Alan Kay and Litinho for 7th and 8th, and Litinho looking to the inside up into Sandoval. He backs out of that move there, decides better off it. That distinctive yellow helmet of Litinho making it very easy to distinguish him as they come up through Massenet and through Casino Square for the 11th time. There's plenty of time yet in this race, but we'll see these battles going on as we continue on. Ollie's dropped about a second off of the Gort, so he's starting to maybe just get too much tyre temperature. It's maybe starting to drop away, or maybe it's too cold now, I don't know, but he's now 1.2 seconds back, and there is Lambo into pit lane. As you mentioned, Spike puts Blizzard up into the lead of the race. It's got to be super softs for this stop, surely it's got to be. Yep, it is indeed. There go those red banded super softs on. So where is Lambo going to come out? And here he comes. So Josh has got ahead, Squeezy's gone by as well. Can he come out ahead of the Gort and Ollie? Nope, there they go, flying past the Toro Rosso. So Lambo is going to try and get by Ollie up the hill. Nope, he doesn't. He really pushed that pit exit there. But Ollie manages to get up into 5th place, and Lambo down into 6th place now, having made his stop. So the only 2 drivers to stop yet are Alan Kay and Maze, and the only 1 place gains for most people. The biggest loser is Squeezy, who started on pole, currently down in 3rd position. So no major changes in the order really, but Blizzard leads 6 seconds clear of Josh, who's 5 seconds clear of Squeezy, and then it's the Gort Ollie and Lambo, which we're looking at on screen, which is 4th, 5th and 6th. Alan Kay in 7th, he's got about a second clear of Litinho at the moment. It's Mays in 9th, who's got a good gap to Steph, who's been in the pits. He is in 10th, and the last runner, and obviously looking like he will score a point as well, should he finish the race.
Indeed, yes. So Steph started on the super softs and he's already pitted for some ultras, so that clearly shows that he was obviously struggling on those tyres, overheating. So I think Steph's going to be on a 2-stop this afternoon with that current. But you know, like I said, there's only 10 runners now, so as long as he keeps it out of the barriers, he'll score some points today. But I can see that he is struggling quite a bit. Yeah, a lot of understeer just to nudge the ball there as well. So I think even these tyres are already beginning to overheat for Steph, unfortunately. Litinho, yeah, he's within a second of Alan, but not able to get past at the moment. So Alan's doing a really good job.
Lambo up the inside, Lambo up the inside, Ollie into Mirabeau, and that's a move for position. Ollie just got a bit sideways through Casino Square. Lambo got the better run out of there and up the inside into Mirabeau, and that is a move for 5th place. Spike, just had to cut across there with that move for position.
Absolutely, mate, anytime, go for it. Yeah, good move from Lambo there, just obviously he's on now the freshest tyres of all the drivers up in the top 5, so he now has got a chance, I would say, to perhaps even get up towards the podium, I think, because obviously Squeezy has already done 8 laps on those supers, so towards the end of the race he's going to be getting closer to the magical 75% that the hardest tyre generally gets to before it goes and starts to give up quite massively. So we'll see where Lambo can get to, but he's got the pace at the moment, just needs to get past the Gort quickly before those tyres overheat.
Definitely so. He is coming down the front straight. We're now into lap 14, and next in line for that Toro Rosso, as you say, is the Gort's Haas. As they come up the hill, they've already dropped Ollie by nearly 2 seconds as they come up the hill. We'll jump on board with last season's champion through Massenet and into Casino Square. No time to stop and have a crapshoot here. And down into Mirabeau, where last lap he did make that lovely move on Ollie, but not able to this time, and the Gort stays ahead for the meantime. But Lambo in certain places looks much better on the brakes. Looks like he can brake a lot later and a lot harder, carry much more speed through the corners. But we know the Gort is a good driver. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and Josh is out of the race. We're going to jump on board with Squeezy, see if we can see where the Renault is. There he is. He's lost it at the Nouvelle chicane, and he is in the wall at the side of the track, and that is a terrible bit of luck for Josh there. He's up in 2nd place there, and he's lost it at the Nouvelle chicane, and he becomes the 2nd retirement from the race, and he won't be too chuffed with that. I am absolutely sure of that.
Yeah, obviously we didn't catch that, so we don't know entirely what's happened there, but looking at the angle of the car, I would guess that he's jumped on the power and it's just got away from him, and this game is quite severe when you overstep the mark, especially on the rear traction. So unfortunately, obviously, he's then clipped the wall and it's obviously popped his front wheel off, so no chance to even get back to the pit lane to score some points. And that's what, especially with only now 9 runners in this race, it's all about getting to the end of the race. But Lambo, whoa, losing the back end of the car coming out of that corner there, nearly. If he hadn't have done that, I think he would have got the Gort into his favourite overtaking corner there. He's got a lot more front grip than the Gort currently, so I don't think it'll be too long until he gets by.
Definitely not. Very leery moment there from the Toro Rosso, but look at this. He's basically pushing the Gort through the tunnel almost. It's almost like NASCAR when they're around Daytona or Talladega. Here we go into the Nouvelle chicane. He's up the inside. A lovely late bit of braking there. The Gort cuts the chicane a little bit, but that's another brilliant move from Lambo. Good racecraft from both drivers there. Lambo was late on the brakes as he clips the wall through to back, but late in the brakes, good racecraft and well spotted by the Gort there. He tried to defend it off, but he knew he couldn't, and made sure he kept the space just enough so that Lambo wasn't squeezed and causing a problem. That's Lambo now up into 3rd place, so he's got 5.8 seconds as Ollie decides to pit for a 2nd time. I wonder if he's damaged his car. Yeah, he's changing the nose cone, so damage to the Red Bull has meant another pit stop, an unnecessary one there for the Red Bull, so he will possibly drop behind Alan Kay maybe, but Lambo's got 5.8 seconds to catch up to Squeezy, and at the rate he's going at the moment, he could do that, but it's going to take him a few laps, so again, need to keep an eye on that progress as Ollie comes out of pit lane and he rejoins in 7th place on a brand new set of ultra soft tyres, so losing 2 places there with that pit stop, so we'll keep an eye again on his progress as we go on. We've got a wee bit of a quiet moment just now here, Spike, with the closest gap being Litinho 2.5 seconds behind Alan Kay, and it's always been one of these interesting tracks, Monaco. It's certainly one that, yeah, you know, a lot of drivers like it, but there's a lot of drivers just as much that dislike it as well, just because of how tricky it is. For yourself, where do you stand when it comes to Monaco?
We just had a yellow flag in Sector 2, so I was just looking for that, but can't see anything specific. For me, it's not a particularly enjoyable track, but that's just because I'm actually just not particularly good at it, so that's generally why I don't like it. And Ollie has actually spun at Nouvelle Chicane. He's spun and he's just trying to recover the car now back onto the track, and unfortunately the game gives him a 3-second time penalty, which is totally out of order because he certainly didn't gain any time in that. So obviously I think he's probably clipped the inside wall as he's turned in, obviously, because the thing is he's been running without a front wing for well, it's damage to his front wing, should I say, for probably quite a few laps. Might explain why he dropped off the back of the Gort to 2 seconds. And when you pit and you put fresh tyres on and you get your front wing sorted out, it's very easy to misjudge how much grip you're going to have to come into the corner. So I'm guessing he's probably just turned in a bit too early and just clipped the wall on the inside, probably with his rear tyre, which has obviously spun him round. Very unfortunate there for Ollie.
Definitely. So he's already made the place he lost to Mays back up, though, going up the inside into Saint-Devote. So he's already back into 7th place. And I wonder if that's what was he done something similar maybe earlier, because I had a lovely overhead shot there watching Litinho as you were mentioning bits there, Spike, and there's a nice donut right through the chicane, and I wonder if that's either from Ollie before he made that second pit stop, or if that might have been Josh when he binned it. But there's a nice bit of tyre marks, you'll see it next time by if you watch one of the cars through there. Someone's definitely dropped it, which we've not seen, and had to donut their way round as Alan Kay heads for pit lane. So 16 laps on those ultra softs, and they've had enough, and that releases Litinho up into 5th place in this race. So 18 laps gone, we're just coming up on half distance here at Monaco. Blizzard is in the lead. We've not seen much of him since the start, but he is 15.2 seconds clear off Squeezy, who is in 2nd place. Lambo, and for Squeezy, he's just thumped the wall and lost his front wing. He's just caused damage there, so that is not good for the McLaren driver. He's hitting the wall, he's really pushing the car, I think, a bit too much. Will he pit here for repairs? No, he carries on, but he's definitely lost the end plate on the right hand side of his front wing. Once we get a better angle, you'll be able to see it. Our left, his right, and you can just see there it's missing the end fence there, so damage to the front wing for the 2nd place car. That's going to make it a bit easier for Lambo to catch up, because this car is now going to be understeering quite badly through some of these corners, and that's not going to be helping Squeezy at all. So he's dropping back even more. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. See if we can catch where that might be. It's disappeared now. It was Steph actually off at Saint-Devote. We just caught him coming back onto track. So the Mercedes driver has had an excursion at the Turn 1 Saint-Devote corner. He's back on track now in 9th place. Blizzard leading 17 seconds at the moment. Now, the last time, obviously, during the Challenge Cup to end last season, I think it was, in fact, no, sorry, it was last week actually in Baku, actually last Thursday, Blizzard was leading by quite a distance, and we were talking about how it was looking good for him, and he binned it through the castle section. So I'm sure he's got that in the back of his mind and won't want to be doing a repeat of that here today. But he's got a good lead at the moment, and if he can just keep his marks, he should be on his way to his 2nd victory in a row, and he's 3rd off the season. Lambo's really catching up to Squeezy. Squeezy's going to try and push on with this front wing damage, but Lambo's got the gap down to 2 seconds now. He's really reeling in that McLaren, which is pretty much a wounded animal at the moment. I don't think it's going to be long before we see these two having a fight over 2nd place on the road, because that Toro Rosso is catching very quickly indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as soon as Squeezy touched the wall and damaged his front wing, that's obviously hurting quite badly for lap time. So Lambo's catching him at a very fast rate of knots. So Squeezy's got to make a decision whether he's going to stick it out to the end of the race now on those superstars, or he's going to pit and stick on a fresh set of ultras, obviously with a nice fresh front wing. Because at the moment he'd only lose obviously a place to Lambo and the Gort, but he would come out back ahead of his teammate Litinho, so he'd be P4 and on fresh tyres and with the possibility of catching the ball back up before the end of the race.
Definitely so, and it would seem, you know, we're only on lap 21 of 39. It would surely seem to be a good option to do it sooner rather than later. He could possibly, if he feels comfortable enough, maybe put on a set of ultra softs if he felt he could push them to the end of the race. But those super softs will be getting absolutely hammered at the moment with that front wing damage, and Lambo is now within DRS range as well. We're just going to jump quickly to Ollie and Lightino just to see how close they are, because Ollie is within a second of the other McLaren. So a Red Bull catching the McLaren, and the sister Red Bull Toro Rosso is catching the other McLaren up front. So we'll try and keep an eye between the two of them, and hopefully we'll see a passing move of some description. Hopefully we catch both of them if they go ahead. Lambo is right behind Squeezy now, so that McLaren definitely struggling for grip.
He's close. Ollie, I think it's turn one. It's right under the rear wing. Oh, contact between the two cars. I think, yeah, Ollie's now going to stop and let Latinio back through, and I think Latinio unfortunately has got some wing damage from that. Yeah, it was a bit strange. I didn't quite catch it because the camera changed between two positions, but it looked like Latinio was quite squeezing Ollie quite close to the wall, and there's a little bit of a Verstappen, I think, going on there with that. But yeah, Ollie was definitely close enough to look, so we'll have to. I'm sure we'll be hearing about it after the race.
Definitely, Latinio definitely has wing damage. Yeah, Lambo's now got a
going to the outside.
Oh, that's going to be a brave move into Sandoval. He's going to try and cut back.
Traction up the hill.
Oh, yeah, he's got that move done.
Lovely switch back. Yeah, great racecraft again from Lambo there. Squeezy looking back up the inside. Oh, it's contact between the two cars. Lambo just holds on to it. Oh, Squeezy is rounded into the wall. He's hit the wall on the inside. So now his front wing moves. So now I don't think he's got much of a choice. I think his front wing is still intact on my screen. So he's still got a bit of front wing left, but I would imagine it's now a red front wing. So I would imagine he will now pit and stick on a set of ultra softs, because it's now 18 laps to the end. So that's probably about optimal for those ultras now, especially with a lower fuel load.
Yeah, you did see carbon fibre fly off. The McLaren, when he lost it there coming out of Casino Square, and the right hand side spun again into the Nouvelle chicane, just turned in too quick. The rear end's just clipped the inside. Ollie's dropped out of the race as well. Let's see if we can see what happened to him.
Yeah, he's pitted and retired in the pit lane, obviously, after that contact with Latinio's decided to end the race, unfortunately for him.
Well, Latinio's carried on with major front wing damage, so the McLaren pit crew could be very busy indeed. And funnily enough, as Squeezy pits, both cars have got wing damage on the same side, the right hand side. But we did catch I caught the end of that move in the stream as well. Ollie looked close enough, looked like he went to pull out and then changed his mind and then went for it again and just clipped the back off Latinio, and that's put him down as Squeezy in for a change of tyres. It's going to be ultra soft tyres on, a front wing change. Looked like he had to wait a few seconds there before service could start. Yep.
Yeah, 5-second penalty for I think if it was for a previous corner cut, I think earlier on in the race, I think, or was he speeding in the pit lane? I think it might be.
He sped in the pit lane on the first pit stop, so that's definitely what it is.
Latinio's got to pit. He's got to pit. He'll lose two positions, but if he doesn't pit, he's running the risk of crashing. So yeah, he pits right now. There we go. He's pitting. He will also do exactly the same as his teammate has just done. Put some more stuff on a nice fresh front wing.
So busy moment there for the McLaren pit crew, and Squeezy back out. He's got 24 seconds to gain back up on. In fact, no, sorry, not 24 seconds. I'm looking at the wrong bit. That's how far he is behind the lead. No, it is 24 seconds. It's been a long day. He's got 24 seconds to gain to catch up to the Gort, but he's obviously got fresh tyres now. The Gort's been on those super softs for 15 laps. All this has done is increased Blizzard's lead, which is now over Lambo, to 22 seconds. Lambo's got 18 seconds to the Gort. Squeezy, as we just say, 24 seconds behind the Gort. And fourth, Mays has moved up to fifth. He's still not pitted, has the Renault driver. 22 laps he's done on those super softs, and he's got Alan Kay coming up behind him again pretty quickly. He's in fifth place at the moment, and Mays has recently transferred from pad over to the wheel. So still in a bit of a learning curve there for the Renault driver, but currently in 5th and really pushing those super softs as far as he can. Alan Kay is in 6th, just shy of 2 seconds behind him, so we'll keep an eye on these two guys. Leitinho has rejoined in 7th place. He's about 18 seconds back from this battle, and Steph is in 8th place now with the retirements, as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. We'll jump on board with Maze and just see if we can see anyone. It's disappeared, so nobody's retired. Do you see anything, Spike?
No, I didn't catch anything, but Steph was going through Sector 1, and they might have been moving over for the leader actually, because Blizzard is just ahead of him, so I think perhaps Steph will move over to let the leader through. Probably would have triggered some yellow flags. But we do now have yellow flags in Sector 2 as well. I think Squeezy might have just missed the chicane. Yeah, he's moving the car around to try and get rid of the dirt off the tyres for running wide. So obviously he's pushing very hard. I think obviously a little bit annoyed with himself with the mistake he made. But I think 22 seconds. I mean, it's possible, definitely, depending on how the Gort's tyres last towards the end. He has already closed a couple of seconds already. So if he can keep it on the track and perhaps not make any more mistakes, he could well be on the back of the Gort before the end of the race.
Definitely. So hopefully he can keep it on the track, as you say. Sometimes we have seen a couple of times with Squeezy, I've certainly seen the red mist sometimes just descends at the wrong time, so hopefully with that mistake he's not too annoyed at himself, as Lambo's coming up to the back of Alan Kay, who stays right out of the way. Maze has finally decided to pit, so we're not going to see an on-track passing attempt from Alan on Maze, because the Red Hot driver has headed for pit lane, and he goes from super softs to ultra softs, so that should do him very easily to the end of the race. And he's going to rejoin now just behind Leitinho, who's just gone through into turn 1 as Squeezy picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's just came out of the Novell chicane, so no prizes for guessing what he's done there. Lap 26 of 39. We're coming into the closing stages of the Monaco Grand Prix here on TTL F1, brought to you by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions and A Logo UK. And it's so far been a good day around the Principality for the Force India of Blizzard. Took the lead at the start, getting the jump on pole sitter Squeezy, and since then, apart from the pit stop phase, he has been in the lead pretty much the whole way through. Lambo's moved up to 2nd place from his starting position. He started 4 places down, so 4-place gain for Lambo. The Gort's in 3rd at the moment, with Squeezy down in 4th, having made 2 pit stops, one for his normal tyre change and another one after making an error which cost him his front wing. Alan Kay in 5th place at the moment. He's only made the 1 stop. Leitinho in 6th, he's made 2 stops after an incident with Ollie, which then seen Ollie retire from the race, possibly to avoid further action from the stewards post-race because of the damage caused in McLaren, who knows. Maze in 7th, having just made his pit stop, and Steph down in last runner, 8th place at the moment.
Maze pitting again. Not sure why Maze is pitting again. Literally just after the lap after. Has he damaged his front wing? Yes, he has. He's obviously touched the wall somewhere. So he decided to pit again. It's not going to lose a position to Steph, as Steph is a good 3/4 of a minute behind, so it's a free pit stop anyway. Come back out with a nice fresh front wing and another set of ultra soft tyres. Obviously Squeezy is he's just set the fastest lap at 1 minute 10.9, so a good lap from Squeezy there. He has already closed nearly 10 seconds on the Gort, so it's definitely on. It's definitely on to the end of the race for that one. For that position.
Definitely is indeed. Maze obviously rejoining, still in 7th place. The leaders, Blizzard, has lapped everybody up to this man Squeezy, so he's lapped all the way up to 5th place Alan Kay, who's a lap down along with Leitinho and Maze. Steph 2 laps down at the moment as well. So you'll be trying to see, I wonder if he's going to try and make those ultra softs last to the end, or if we're going to see something that we've seen Steph do a couple of times when he's running towards the back with no worries and no action about. Come in the pits, maybe put the hyper softs on for 5 laps at the end and try and go for a quick lap. Seen him try that one a few times, but definitely possibilities for Squeezy if he can keep it out of the barriers to close on the Gort. Obviously the Gort's now done 19 laps on those tyres, but obviously Squeezy does have at least 3, maybe 6 seconds worth of penalties as well, so he's not only got to catch, he's got to pass and pull away. I'm not sure if you're maybe able to have a wee look at the race director segment, Spike, just to see who does have penalties out of those that are still running, because I'm sure Squeezy has 6 seconds. So if you're able to check that out, that would be brilliant, bud.
I'll have a look just now for you.
Perfect. It's always easier when you've got someone else about.
I'll do your legwork for you. Yes, so currently Squeezy has 6 seconds. And he's on another warning for another one, so he's 2 away from 9 seconds. The Gort also has 3 seconds, as far as I can tell at the moment. So there's a 3-second disparity between the two, but the way he's going at the moment, Squeezy, he's catching him so quickly that I think he could quite eat, as long as he can get past, which obviously is a lot easier. Not easy to do that, it's easy to catch, but not so easy to pass. So we'll have to see, but I think at this current pace he's definitely got a chance at that podium still.
Definitely so, just following him through the Nouvelle chicane to back the swimming pool section and up through Rascasse, and he's really pushing the car. He's got the battery turned down at the moment to let it recharge, now turns it back up to hot lap mode, so he is definitely trying everything he can to catch up to the Haas car driver as quickly as possible. With 10 laps to go, he's got the gap down to 9 seconds, so he's already took 16 seconds out of the Gort's time, and he pitted 6 laps ago, so that's a good chunk of time he's taken out already. It won't be long hopefully before he's up. Steph just going off at the chicane to allow everybody through to avoid getting in the way of those lapping him. There goes Litinho through as well, so Steph just keeping out of the way there, maybe not having the best of times round Monaco, and I won't mention the other bit again, but at least he's not doing that.
Absolutely not, no. He's had a difficult race, but he's still in the race and he's now P8, so if he can keep it, like I said earlier, if he keeps it on the island, he's definitely going to score points. A battle that's developing quite a bit now is Litinho is catching Alan Kay quite rapidly now, so I think Alan's, I don't know, he's struggling with his tyres perhaps a little bit, who knows, but Litinho's definitely picked up the pace and he's now within DRS range, so this is obviously the closest battle on the track currently, so I have to keep an eye on this one. We're going down into hairpins and now into the hairpin here, so let's just have a look at the 2 cars. So Litinho's car seems to be handling quite well, there doesn't appear to be too much understeer at the moment, a little bit there. Obviously now following a car in front, so obviously the aerodynamics do get hurt, even at these slower speeds. So to see, probably the next couple of laps I reckon he will be alongside Alan Kay, perhaps into Tabak. Sorry, that's not Tabak. Sandoval, that's the one. Turn 1.
Definitely so. We're watching this battle at the moment. We'll keep an eye on the time difference between the other McLaren, the Squeezy, to the Gort. It's 5.3 seconds at the moment, so a few laps time if he can keep going at the way he is at the now. Squeezy will be on the back of the Haas in a few laps time. Lap 31 of 39, getting into the closing stages of this race. Blizzard still out in front, 21.7 seconds clear of Lambo. He's pretty much stabilised that gap at around about 20 or 20 so seconds to Lambo, who's got 30 seconds to the Gort. So the top 2, if they can keep it on the track, looking good to finish where they are. Squeezy now 3.5 seconds behind the Gort, as Litinho has right behind here on Alan Kay, coming through Mirabeau towards the Grand Hotel hairpin, the slowest corner in the calendar, in the game, down to as low as 25 miles an hour you're seeing there. And in real life the teams have to put in a special steering rack to help the cars go around. Litinho hits the wall coming out of Portier. Has he damaged his wing again? Doesn't look like it on screen, but it's still quite possible that he might have. He's really pushing it with those newer ultra soft tyres on, and so much so he's just picked up another 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, but he's really pushing that car at the moment. His teammates doing the exact same thing as well. Blizzard's actually just been into pit lane. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, free pit stop, had plenty of time in hand, so I think this is to cover off anybody thinking about seizing a fastest lap.
Oh, sorry, Litinho just losing it out to Anthony Noggs, hit the wall, seeing a little bit of carbon fibre fly off, so again, might have just added more wing damage, and that's going to be an expensive repair bill for the McLaren team. The Gort's decided to pit.
Squeezy has passed the Gort into the final corner. Oh no, sorry, the Gort has pitted. My bad. Sorry, I didn't catch that bit. Gort has pitted, so that's why he's got free. He's decided that the Supersofts aren't going to make the end of the race, so he's decided to, and his front wing. So I think he has obviously had a trip into the wall. That might also explain why Squeezy was just quite so much quicker than the Gort on those tyres, because it's not a he was at least nearly 3 seconds a lap quicker. So that would explain some of the disparity in the pace there.
That definitely would do. So yeah, but yeah, Blizzard got a free pit stop, as you say. We got a yellow flag somewhere in sector 3. It's disappeared now. I'm just trying to filter through to see where it is. This means Lambo's now within closer range of Blizzard, but when Blizzard came out it was 2.5 seconds and he's already increased it to 4.4. So soft, ultra soft tyres, brand new set, and that Force India is now happily back on its way. At the moment, Lambo's done 21 laps on those super softs. He's got 34 seconds to Squeezy with only 6 laps to go, including the one they're on, so you could easily push them to the end of the race. No need to try and go into the pits with that. Squeezy now back into a podium position, which, considering his race, I'm sure by the end of it he'll be pretty happy with that, I would imagine. The Gort now in 4th place, as you say, apart from Squeezy. Bit of a free pit stop, obviously possibly off damage to his wing as well, but he was only ever going to lose the 1 place to Squeezy, who was catching him very quickly indeed. Alan Kay in 5th, he's still got Latinio's still there, but again that McLaren we think might have some wing damage, so he's dropped back a little bit and he's clipped the wall again. He's pushing too much.
Definitely had wing damage, you could see, and as Blizzard sets a 1 minute 9.6 for the fastest lap of the race, obviously covering off, and Lambo pits too. Lambo's decided to pit, free pit stop behind him, so there's no risk, coming in for a nice fresh set of hypers just the last few laps on. So he's actually sticking hypers and changing his front wing as well, so he also had front wing damage. So the parts departments of all teams will certainly be low on front wings for the next round.
Definitely, so they're going to need to lay off the caviar and champagne on the yachts out in the harbour to be able to afford this repair bill. Litinio's lost a bit more front wing, caught the wall one more time again. I think he's now just going to try and push it to the end. He's got 40 seconds to Maze behind him, so again he could easily just push it along, but Lambo coming in, taking that free pit stop.
Sorry, he's got a pit. He literally just nearly understeered straight into the wall, going up to the casino square. So he's got a free pit stop. Alan Kay's hit the wall, and in fact that means that yes, Latino gets past Alan Kay. Alan Kay made a mistake, so unfortunately there he's lost the position. But he's just to stay calm, because Latino is going to be. Well, he may not pit now because now he's going to lose a position, but. I don't know if Alan got wing damage or not from that incident into the wall there, but it looked like he just hit the barrier on the exit.
Steph off again at Sandavot, sorry, doing that down the escape road again. Alan Kay, what he was doing, he was trying to stay out the way of Lambo, lapping him, and he's locked up and went too deep into Mirabo, and then when he tried to come back onto track, Litinio was already there up the inside, so just trying too much to stay out of the way of the leaders, and it's cost him a place. But as you say, that McLaren does have wing damage, is struggling. You can see it there on the right hand side again. It's missing a very good chunk of wing there, so Alan just needs to be patient, and he could get that place back if he can just keep close enough and just find the right time to put that car cleanly up the inside. We've seen him making a really good overtake earlier on, so we know he's capable of doing so. He just needs to keep patient in these remaining laps, because that McLaren is understeering very badly indeed as the other one comes flying up behind. Squeezy nearly losing it there coming through Mirabo. Litinio stops basically in the Mirabo, lets his teammate go round the outside. He basically came to a near dead stop there, did the McLaren, as they stayed out of the way of Squeezy coming through in 3rd place to lap them. But Maze has been into the pits as well another time. He's put on a set of Hypersoft tyres. That's his 3rd pit stop of the race. Steph is into pits for only his 2nd stop of the race, so it's definitely not too bad this time around. He's gone for a Hypersoft, something I did say he might do. We've seen him do that a few times in past races, and Lambo on the Hypersofts just does the fastest lap of the race. Just decided to a bit of fun there. 1 minute 9.2.
That will annoy Blizzard, and I think he's even waving up to the camera just to say, "I'm taking that fastest lap off you, Blizzard."
Definitely. So they're the only two drivers in the 1 minute 9. 1 minute 9.278 for Lambo, 1 minute 9.687 for Blizzard. The next fastest lap is Squeezy, 1 minute 10.9. So obviously hypersofts for Lambo, giving them phenomenal grip, of course. But these drivers, good bit quicker than anyone else that's currently on track. Everyone else at least 1 minute 12 or slower. Ollie and Josh had managed to do 1:11s, and I would expect them to have came down into the 10s as well if they had been still in the race. But Blizzard comes up the hill through Massenet and into Casino Square. He's on lap 37 of 39. We're coming into the end of this Monaco Grand Prix. I think it's at this point, Spike, I've got to ask your thoughts for driver of the race.
Yeah, I think Alan Kay is certainly a very strong contender, especially a lovely stint on the ultra soft tyres, making them last all the way to lap 16, I think, in lap 17. So great there. He stayed it, apart from the one mistake, obviously, which currently he's now trying to get back past Litinho, costing him position there. He's had a very, very steady race and stayed out of the wall. But obviously, Mr. Blizzard, obviously, again, he made the best start, got the position into turn 1, and then has just been, so far, try not to put the commentator's curse on him, has been serene and is in the lead, I think. And he now pits, so I don't think he's too happy with Mr. Lambo having the fastest up of the race. So I expect to see a set of hypersofts going on to Blizzard here, just for the last couple of laps. See how he gets on. So this could well be into the 1 minute 8s.
He does drive fastest laps, doesn't he?
He's very much like Mr. Vettel. Vettel was also one of those who always ask at the end of the race who has the fastest lap, and they try and beat it. So this is definitely I'm going to stick his tyres on and go for the fastest lap. But I think I'm going to give my driver of the race is definitely Alan Kay. Beautiful drive so far. So hopefully, with a couple laps to go, it's possible he may get back past Litinho as well.
Definitely so. It's been a very good race from him. We've seen a lovely overtaking move from him as well early doors. Can't remember who it was on, but if I remember, it was through the Grand Hotel Hairpin up the inside, I think it was, and Mirabeau as well. So definitely a strong contender. Blizzard obviously with getting the move done on Squeezy and sort of driving away has been really good in what he does. Lambo has came through the field pretty well, avoided all the hassle and drama that's gone on around him to go up to second place. So he's the biggest gainer in the race, 4 places from his starting position, raised up 3 places with the retirements, as we're now on to the penultimate lap, and Alan Kay getting really close to the back of that McLaren through Massenet, and the McLaren's gone wide through Casino Square. Can Alan try and put it up the inside into Mirabeau? A little bit of touching the wheels there, but no, he couldn't quite get the power down, and then he runs into the back. He tried a little bit of a push, but nearly got the move done there. Litinho's picked up penalties. Alan, I think, has not got any penalties, so he could just sit there and he'll jump the place in the end. But I'm sure the driver obviously wants to get it done on the track, so we'll keep an eye on that. Blizzard, though, is on his final lap of the race, coming down to the Grand Hotel Hairpin. We will jump back to him in a moment to see him cross the line. But yeah, Alan there just getting nearly got the move done into Mirabeau. Second time he would have done that, he just couldn't get on the power. Litinho got back through, and then just a little tap through there, so maybe damage to the Sauber's wing. We'll just watch them down here towards Saint-Devote before we jump back to see Blizzard coming across the line. And just noticed there a wee comment from Simu Leclerc 16. Hi there to you. I know who you are as well, because you actually commentating you in another league elsewhere, and you had a really good race on Sunday night. So good to see you along watching the stream here with us tonight. It's Alan Kay unable to get the move done at the moment, but here comes Blizzard across the line, and it's a second win on the bounce and the third win of the season. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix, and a lovely victory for him. He was unable to take the fastest lap on the final lap, however, so I'm sure he won't be too chuffed at that. Lambo drifted his way through the corner and then realised I might hit the wall here and backed out of everything, so he takes second. Squeezy's drifting his way through to back end the swimming pool section to take third. An up and down race for the pole sitter, but I'm sure, considering everything that's happened, he'll be happy to get on the podium as he drifts his way through Rascath for the final time. He needs to be careful he doesn't take his wheel off there, as he just decides to slide it everywhere as he crosses the finish line. There he goes. He gets that finally done. The Gort is coming through. Mays has finished in 7th, along with Steph in 8th. And the Gort going to take 4th position. Good result for the Gort, good solid race. Kept out of trouble, and 4th place, a good result for him. And Alan Kay unable to get past on the track to Lightinio. They've crossed the line just ahead of the Gort in 5th and 6th. But we'll see where the points filter out and who finished there, because obviously penalties will be involved. And we'll see what goes on with that in a moment. But it's our 3rd victory of the year for Blizzard, and he really stamped some good authority on that championship lead. Poe not here was in 2nd, obviously, and it's going to mean an increase in the championship lead for Blizzard. So 3rd victory of the year. He's the only driver to win multiple races so far in TTL F1, excuse me. I had to sneeze there. Don't think you want to hear that. But Lambo with 2nd place, good result for him, the biggest gainer, and Squeezy, having left the session now, took 3rd place. And considering everything that happened to him in the race, I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with that. But as Kieran says, the official unofficial results: Blizzard in 1st, Lambo 2nd, Squeezy in 3rd, the Gort was 4th, Alan Kay jumped up to 5th place with Lightinio's penalties, he takes 6th, Mays in 7th, Steph in 8th, Ollie was 9th but will not score because he retired, same with Josh in 10th and Jay in 11th. And a shout out there to Blizzard, Lambo and Alan Kay. Around Monaco, not a single penalty for those 3 drivers. Now around here, that's very impressive indeed.
Absolutely, and of course Alan not having any penalties means that he does jump Lightinio to P5. This is a great race from Alan Kay there, but obviously Mr. Blizzard, thoughtless really, and very quick as well, so can't argue with that. But Lambo, like you said, great race from him up to P2, and Squeezy recovering the situation, calming himself down a little bit, and coming home 3rd. So he won't be too happy. Obviously, starting on pole, you want to win the race, but you know, as long as he got to the end and got some decent points there, so not too bad.
Definitely. So, well, that does end the race proportion of the race. We're going to jump off stream and start a new one up for Commentator's Corner. We'll see who's willing to stick around here this evening. I know Steph's always good for jumping in and having a wee chat with us, but we'll see who is left and who fancies having a wee chat. But if you are leaving us now, thank you very much for joining us here on TTTV. We've still got a couple of races before the end of the week. We've got TTL F2 with Steph tomorrow. I'll let him plug that in Commentator's Corner as well. And then as a one-off, I'm jumping in the commentary box on Sunday night for TTL F2. Same as it's been for TTL F1 this week. It'll be Spain and Monaco, but instead of a 50% race, it's 2 races in the one night, 25% for each race. So as a wee one-off, because I'm not busy this Sunday, I'm going to be jumping in and commentating that. Both of those starting around about 8 o'clock tomorrow and Sunday night. But if you are leaving us, thank you for joining. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you as well. But in the meantime, for myself and for Spike and everyone involved with TT Gaming, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.